So we have a pretty darn interesting story here to look at, but it has to do with Andrew Gillum and Ron DeSantis. Now, if you don't know, well, obviously you guys, I hope you know who they are. There's a gubernatorial race going on in Florida. Extremely important. Florida is a very prominent state in the nation. Unfortunately, it's often in the competition of the dumbest state, usually running against states like Alabama and Texas and different stuff like that. So, uh, it's a very important state to say the least. Now, I really recommend you go watch some of the debate clips. I saw some of one of their debates that they had, and I really got this feeling that not only was Ron DeSantis sort of a ridiculous buffoon and an imbecile to the highest degree, but that Andrew Gillum genuinely and really is someone who is, he's very smart. He is really charismatic, in my opinion. I felt a lot of charisma from him as a politician. And I also felt like he's an intelligent dude, but most of all, he was a really good debater. Like, it came off as he was a legitimate debater, someone who was really well versed in how debating works, and just he was smart. Like, the way he would frame certain things was really impressive. I mean, for example, he was like, if I get elected into office, we'll finally have a governor who believes in science. And it's a really good way to put it because it's blunt for people to understand. And when you sort of get muddied into the details, I mean, voters are dumb, honestly. And so when you put it in that way, makes it so much clearer for people. And I really recommend you go watch it. I mean, Ron DeSantis is clearly a racist on top of that, on top of all that as well. I mean, he said, like, don't monkey it up. And he was also he got pressed by Gillum for being like an admin in one of those groups that was massively racist. So it's like not a good look for him. Really bad look, in fact. But he comes off as a buffoon when you watch Ron DeSantis speak. And if we were to get a governor in Florida who's a Democrat, that would be awesome. It really would be. So here's the story that we're looking at here, though. An ex-GOP lawmaker has said that he voted for Andrew Gillum over Ron DeSantis. So The Hill says former GOP Representative David Jolly is one of a number of Republicans voting for Democrat Andrew Gillum over GOP candidate Ron DeSantis in the Florida gubernatorial election. Jolly told the newspaper Republicans he knows are voting for Gillum in defiance of President Trump. Former Representative DeSantis has tied himself closely to the president, who has strongly endorsed the candidate. Quote, I've spoken to Republican voters who undervoted in the 2016 presidential race because they couldn't bring themselves to vote for Hillary Clinton. But this go-around, they're bringing themselves to vote for Andrew Gillum. There's a break it so it can be rebuilt element. I also really think it's just a plain rejection of all things Donald Trump and his surrogates. I've turned in my ballot. I voted for Andrew Gillum. The reason is simple. It's because I've served with Ron DeSantis. So he used to be someone who was a Republican, but he's now re-registered as having no party affiliation. So it's looking good for Andrew Gillum. I'm going to say a few things. Andrew Gillum is clearly the better candidate. Literally eons by eons, light years of distance. It's insanity how... It's insane how much better of a candidate he is. So on the one hand, I'm confident that he will win. But on the other hand, the issue is the electorate that he's dealing with, which is the Floridian people who are very stupid, may vote Ron DeSantis in. And I have to say that if Ron DeSantis wins this election, I am ready to hear now say that Florida is the dumbest state in the country. Just off that alone, I mean, go watch it, man. This dude's a blubbering racist and a complete buffoon who can barely string a couple of coherent sentences together, while Andrew Gillum is very articulate, he's very charismatic, he's smart, he knows what he's talking about. And I really hope that Andrew Gillum wins this, because it would be huge for the governorship to be held by a Democrat, because obviously a governor is essentially a mini president in that he has those sorts of powers, just obviously on a state level, so pardon power and different things like that. So I really, really do hope that Andrew Gillum emerges victorious from this election.